everybody, and welcome to WNY Athletics Section 6 Football Schedule Release Party. I am your host, Frank Wolf of WNYathletics.com. I'm going to be joined today by Kenny Stolt, the Section 6 Football Chairman, Tom Prince from WNY Athletics. We'll have a few things to say. We'll have Tom Langworthy from Jamestown is going to be joining us a little bit later, along with Ty Harper from CSP, and we're going to talk to Jason Manziel from Lancaster as well. He's due to come on the program as we unveil the 2020 fall schedule for Section 6 football. And it's got a lot of surprises in it for you and for me and for all of us great football fans. Before we get to our first guest, Kenny Stoll, I do want to send out a huge how you doing to Mr. Dick Gallagher. I know that he's had some battles as of late. Trying to get his health back. He did have a minor setback, I was told not too long ago. So our thoughts and prayers are always with Mr. Gallagher. Got a nice letter from him recently that maybe I'll share next time around with you. But we're always thinking about Dick Gallagher and everything he does for high school football. So, Dick, if you're watching this show, we're thinking about you, and you're one of the best. So hope to see you on the sidelines coming up this fall. So without further ado, though, we are going to start talking about the season. And one of my first guests today is the chairman for Section 6 football, Mr. Ken Stoll, who's also an assistant coach out there at Akron. I believe, Ken, are you still going to be on the sideline for Akron this coming fall?
I certainly hope to be.
Okay. Well, you guys had a really good season going last year until you ran into some trouble with Wilson, maybe some injuries, but before that, it was looking real promising.
Yeah, things were going great, and injuries are part of the game, and unfortunately, we got hit with that bug pretty hard. But we're looking forward to this year. We have a lot of kids coming back, so it was an exciting year last year, and we're hoping for better things this year.
You got the schedule done, and I know you were up a lot of nights trying to put that together. It's never easy. I know from talking to you the last few years that you really pull your hair out, but you got a lot more than I do, so you got plenty left. But I know you pull your hair out trying to put that together, trying to make everyone happy, and at the end of the day, you got what looks to be a pretty impressive schedule here for 2020.
Well, you know what? We do our best as a committee, and you're right. It takes a lot of time, and I mean, going back and the little things about trying to, who had 3 games home last year as opposed to 4, and trying to make sure that we match up and get the opposite for teams, and, trying to make sure that somebody's not going to the same school 2 years in a row, and, trying to make sure that somebody doesn't have 3 games in a row on the road or at home, and as hard as we try, there's no perfect formula, and every year we seem to have 1 or 2 schools that end up with one of those situations, just because teams are changing divisions, and it doesn't stay the same from year to year. So, each year we face a lot of challenges, but you know what, the coaches and the directors are great. They understand. We all work through this, and it takes 2 or 3 drafts to get this thing going, but, at the end of the day, we play football and we settle it on the field.
You got some realignments going on this year. A couple of teams from AA moving down to A to B, B to C, and you got one big team down in D that's won 2 state titles going to be moving up to C. Why don't you shore that up for us and any changes that we have to look forward to?
Yeah, there's a few every year, and this year there was actually a pretty big change as a result of the state changing the classifications. But, when we start in AA, we have Jamestown and Lockport that both dropped down to Class A, and Will North moved up to Class AA, and they're actually a AA by 1 player. So, that was a pretty close move for them. But that AA class is going to have 8 schools playing a 7-week season. The bad news is that means that there's 1 team in their division that they don't play, but the good news is that all of them make the playoffs, so that's not going to knock anybody out of the playoffs. But, it's just a blind draw, and as it turns out, we have Bennett and Lancaster that won't meet. Orchard Park and Hutch Tech are not playing. Clarence and Will North, and Niagara Falls and Frontier. So those games, as of right now, will not happen in the regular season. But, we're hoping with a possible May vote at the state that, we're holding out hope that it would get approved for a waiver for an 11th game, which we can talk about a little bit later. That might free us up for another week of regular season play, in which case those games would all happen. So we're kind of keeping our fingers crossed, and we can talk about that a little bit later. But in Class A, we have 16 schools. All right, so we're going to have two divisions. Will North, as I mentioned, moved up to Double A, and Lockport and Jamestown moved down to Class A, and West Seneca East moved down to Class B. The Class A division is in a similar situation where they are not going to be playing one team in each of their divisions. In Class A1, Jamestown, West Seneca West won't be playing. Lockport and Kenmore West, Niagara Wheatfield and Hamburg, and the last game would be McKinley and Grand Island. And over in A2, Sweet Home and Kenmore East, North Tonawanda and Williamsville East, Star Point, South Park, and Amherst and Will South. So again, hopefully, we get a positive vote in May, and we can play those games in what would be a week one. Going to Class B, we're down to 14 schools, and Class B used to be our largest class, but we're down to two divisions now, and we have West Seneca that moved down to Class B from A, but we had a lot of movement from Class B schools down to Class C. Springville, Lackawanna, Tonawanda, Alden, Newfane, Eden, all moved down to Class C. So now Class C is going to be our biggest class at the end of the day. Portville and Silver Creek were Class C schools last year that moved down to D, but with all those schools that I mentioned coming down to Class C, and CSP is in a unique situation after winning 2 state championships as a combined school. The section combining school committee has moved them up to Class C this year. So we are going to end up with 18 schools in Class C, and we will be using a 3-division format. And that's going to leave us with 6 schools in Class D, with CSP moving up and Silver Creek and Portville moving down. So they will join Salamanca and Cat Little Valley and Franklinville, along with Randolph, to make up Class D. And then Maple Grove and Frewsburg will again play 8-man football. And Roy Hart looks like they're going to be combining with Barker and possibly Lindenville, and they will also be our third 8-man team. And each one of those schools will be playing in the Section 5 league.
Was there any talk, Kenny, of maybe one of those that you're privy to, that maybe one of those Monsignor Martin teams that struggled to field team last year may move to 8-man at all? Did you hear any talk like that? I didn't. I'm just wondering if you had heard anything like that.
No, not from Monsignor Martin. No, I haven't heard about any of them playing any 8-man.
It is interesting to note again that the season does start on Thursday, September 10th. So if the state rules that you can have that 11th week, would that then be that first week of September?
Correct. It would be that weekend of 9/4. We're able to do that because of the vote last year with the practice requirements. In the past, football always needed a 15-day practice requirement for teams. That is now down to 10. So that rule has changed. So a school now needs 10 team practices, and an individual needs 10 team practices, and they can represent their school in either a scrimmage or a game. So technically, when we start on August 24th, they could be ready to play there by September 4th. And, right now that's penciled in as the traditional scrimmage week, that schools get together and they'll probably have their scrimmage on that Saturday the 5th. But if this vote were to pass and they put it up for this year, for the 2020 season, that would allow us the flexibility to play games that weekend. And most coaches, I know, the train of thought in the past was, boy, you couldn't get a team ready to play in 10 days. But the scope of football has really changed if you think about it in the last 10 years. With all the 7-on-7 tournaments that are taking place now, and all the camps and clinics that are going on in the off season, everybody's participating in those. In the past, you go back 10, 15 years and coaches really couldn't be with their kids that much in the off season. Now, if you're not, you're going to be behind. And at this point, most coaches, if you talk to them, they're ready to go, because nobody's putting their offense in on day one anymore. They've been doing it all through 7-on-7s and so forth. People are ready to go. They want to come in. They want to get the gear on. get their required practices in, get some contact in, and play. So that's where people are looking at right now. So it's a possibility, and we'll see where we end up in a couple of months.
And just to back up a little bit, if they do decide to give you that 11th week, are you saying, I believe you alluded to this earlier, that Bennett would end up meeting Lancaster in week 1 by default? Or can
Correct.
those... Okay,
Correct.
so those teams wouldn't be able to schedule another non-league game.
Right.
They'd have to...
Right.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
In class AA and A, those teams that I mentioned that they weren't playing, they would play in week 1.
Okay.
Okay. We might have to flip-flop a home and away site there to try and make sure that everybody got 4 home games and 4 away games. But again, this would be a unique year to say the least if this passed. And, we're going to have to approach it week by week and see where we go. But yeah, it would be really exciting to get that extra game. And just so you know, that extra game isn't a waiver so everybody can play 11 games. What this waiver would do is allow those teams that made it to the sectional finals an opportunity to play an 11th game. Because right now you can only play 10 games, including your sectional final. So that means if we're going to play a 7-week regular season, we have 3 weeks of playoffs, a quarter, a semi, and a final. So if we get the waiver for that 11th game for teams playing in the finals, that means we could back up or add a week of regular season play so everybody could play 8 regular season games. And if they played a quarterfinal and a semifinal, they're up to 10 games. And if they lose, it doesn't matter because they've maxed out at 10. And if they win, they would have the waiver to play the 11th. Okay. So it's not just guaranteeing that everybody gets an 11th game.
Thank you for clearing that one up. So we've talked about alignments. We're getting into that rivalry talk now. We didn't lose any rivalries. It didn't look like that to be the case, anyways. Why don't you speak up on how the rivalries will be have a little more emphasis this season and going forward?
Yeah, the rivals are going to be an interesting topic because for the last few years, we've toyed around with the idea of trying to move some of these rival games because everybody plays week 7. It's tough for the average fan in Western New York that wants to go and, they want to see the TNT game, but they want to see Lancaster and Depew, and, they're all on the same week, and they can't get to these games. And this year, our hand was kind of forced because of Class B, actually, because we only have 2 divisions. We have 7 teams in each division. With this 7-week season, that means I must have 1 team play a non-league game every week. And so when we get to week 7, for instance, in Class B2, I have Depew, Albion, Dunkirk, and Maryville. There's 4 teams in that division alone that have a traditional week 7 rival game. They can't all do it. They just mathematically, there's no way we can do that. So we had to move some of those rival games, and we're hoping that this could be a really good thing, a positive thing, because the media can actually give more coverage to these games in different weeks as opposed to having each one of them playing week 7.
That's a good point. That's a real good point. And then just getting into the schedule, getting that finalized, and going through all the details, and you made some changes. We received a schedule a couple of weeks ago that was kind of a rough draft, and again, today there were some more changes. So was it just a lot more sleepless nights and that sort of thing for you?
Yeah, it's just sometimes it's just a waiting game too, because we actually needed a lot of Monsignor Martin help this year with their smaller schools. Or else we were going to have some mismatches. We were going to have more D's playing B's and things like that than we wanted to. And, we were able to use Monsignor Martin. They were very flexible with us. And, Joe Licata and Matt Art of St. Mary's, those guys were great to work with. And, some of our bigger schools have stepped up to and wanted to play the Canisius and the St. Francis. So, and honestly, these are games that I think, Western New York fans want to see too. Our goal obviously is to take care of Section 6 schools, and we're all member schools, and that's what we need to focus. But beyond that scope, we have to be fans of football, and we know that, this game has taken some hits in the last few years, and we got to start doing some things for fans to make it, to self-promote, so to speak. And, I know a lot of people want to see the Catholic public games. So, anything we can do to promote our sport, I see as a positive. And this year, I think we have a lot of public Monsignor Martin games, and I think it'll be a good thing.
Ken, I wanted to ask you about the postseason for 2020. When will that start to? When is that first game scheduled for? The first weekend of games, and I got to believe that's going to be at New Era Field again. But then the Far West Regionals involving Section 5 will be hosting this year. You will be, I should say. I'm
Yes.
hearing that could be at Clarence again, or is that going to be somewhere else?
It's a possibility right now. We've just tried to, we wanted to get through this schedule piece first, and that's one of the next things that we'll attack. With so many nice turf fields in the area now, we have a few different options to look at. But it comes down to, there's a few things. Everybody's got the turf field and the lights now, but we need places that have a good press box. We need places that have parking. But we haven't made a decision yet as to where we will have the regionals. But it is our year to host, so we'll be in Section 6 someplace.
Do they have actual dates, though, for when the Far West Regionals, and then when we'll be moving on to Cicero, North Syracuse, and then on to the Dome?
Yes, I believe our regionals week, the last week of the season is like the 23rd, 24th. So the first week of playoffs, the quarterfinals will be that weekend of the 1st, 2nd, what have you. And then the 8th, 9th will be the second week. And around the 14th is going to be the New Era games. But probably the week before Easter will be the regional finals. The semifinals will now be over Easter break, which was historically the state championships.
Thanksgiving.
And the state championship this year will actually be, I believe it's December 4th.
Okay. Thanksgiving
weekend. No, it'll be the week after Thanksgiving.
Okay.
Thanksgiving will actually be the semifinals.
Okay. Okay. Is that Cicero, North Syracuse, or is that going to be down? Is that going to be somewhere down around Binghamton?
The semifinals will be in Cicero, North Syracuse.
Okay, Cicero, North Syracuse. Yep. That's a nice place to have.
Yeah, it's
great
really
venue.
A beautiful venue. Yep.
Can we get something like that in Western New York? What do we got to do? How much fundraising?
Boy, I don't know. That's a lot of candy bars. But, I don't know. But, boy, it is a beautiful venue. If people haven't been there, it's worth the ride.
Yeah. Well, it's been a crazy ride for you, trying to put this schedule together and make everyone happy and things of that nature. And we still got a long way to go. How have you been holding up with all this crazy health scare that we have? And what have you been doing to kind of keep things in perspective?
Just going over this thing the best we can, and obviously with everything that we're dealing with in the public right now, this kind of gets put on the back burner, but we're hoping that in a time where everything is slow, this might be a little bit of fun for people to look at and kind of get their minds off of what's really happening out there now for a while.
I'm anxious to hear if they're going to keep the Kensington Lions Club game. I believe that's the second Wednesday of July. I could be wrong. Second or third Wednesday in July.
Yeah, I think that's usually towards the end of the month, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
I think that's usually towards the end of July, actually. But I have not heard yet, and I'm sure that, like everything else, it's just kind of be put on hold. And over the next month here, we'll find out what progress we're making, and where things will pick up.
All right. What else do you got, Kenny? You get anything else you want to get off your chest about the upcoming football season that we want to know about?
No, we just want to get it going. We just want to play.
Absolutely. I can't thank you enough for spending some time with us today to get this schedule out, and we'll have it up on the website in the morning for everyone to take a look at. If not late tonight, we'll get that off to our graphic arts guy and our website guru, Matt Todaro. Hopefully he'll have that up soon so everyone can go through it and just see who's where, when, and why, and how, and a lot of really great matchups. I'm looking forward to week 1 already with Canisius and Bennett, and then I believe it was week 4, Craig Krasanski, and he's going to take on St. Francis, is it?
Yeah. We're excited about that right out of the gates, and you're going to have Bennett and Canisius, and we're going to open the season on Thursday night. We got 2 games, so people can get a jump on opening Friday night. We got Lockport going to Hamburg and JFK going to Alden on that opening Thursday. And, week one is going to be a lot of fun because you got Canisius Bennett, Lakeshore's over at Eden for their rival game. Pioneer and Cheektowaga have had great games over the last couple of years. They're both opening in week one. Fredonia Southwestern. So, there's going to be a lot of good football. Each week you can go through and take a look at some of these games. And week two, you got a Lancaster Orchard Park game already. And Frontier is going to open their new field with a game versus Williamsville North. You can go on each week and pick some out. But, yeah, you're right. Week four, Williamsville South is going to host St. Francis. The Dunkirk-Fredonia game, which is a huge rival game, which is traditionally a Week 7 game, is going to be in Week 4 this year, along with Pioneer Springville. So, you can see that in each week when you go through the schedule that you're going to have some key matchups going on, some good league games and some good rival contests and non-league games, a lot of them. So it's going to be a good year.
All right, Kenny. Well, I appreciate you taking the time to talk with WNY Athletics today, and we're looking forward to an exciting season. I'm sure we'll see you at that Kensington Lions Club game this July, and we'll have to go from there. Welcome back to the Section 6 High School Football Release Party with WNY Athletics. I am Frank Wolf, and right now I'm going to be joined by the head coach of the Class A1 division, Jamestown Red Raiders, Mr. Tom Langworthy. Coach, how are you tonight?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me. It's great to talk football.
Yes, it is. And with everything else that's going on right now, I couldn't think of anything better to do, to be quite honest. But, Coach, Jamestown was really putting some pressure on the Double A last year, especially towards the end, had some incredible wins, and a lot of good players came out of their shells, if you will, made incredible strides. Just want to ask you, though, going down to A, where you were just a couple years ago, how does that feel right now? And are you okay with being down in A? I know Jamestown's always been a bigger school, and when I think Jamestown, I think Double A, I think state titles, and here you are in A1.
Yeah, it's something that's new for us. I mean, we don't really control what happens with that, so that's not something we spend a lot of time thinking about. One thing that we do have going is that we play Orchard Park, which is our rival. Both Coach Dana and I had multiple times advocated for that game to continue, and we're going to play that in the last game of our regular season. So that's, even though we won't be playing some of the other traditional opponents in Double A, we still get that Orchard Park game. And for them, I don't think they have necessarily a close South rival, and we don't have one down in our neck of the woods either, being the only large school in the county. So that was really important to us, and we didn't play that the last time we were down in A, because Orchard Park was committed in a home and home. So that's something that we think obviously Orchard Park every year is in the conversation for being one of the top teams in Double A. So that'll be a good measuring stick for us. But I think you also look at A, and there's a lot of great teams in A. I mean, clearly, you got South Park, who's returns a lot and very good, very well coached. You got Grand Island, who always is very prepared. You have West Seneca West, who's at the top of their game the last couple of years. Kent West is always dangerous, So we've got our work cut out for us, and we know that nothing's going to be given to us. So we have to work hard and control the things that we can control. Right now, that's a little bit more difficult, not having contact with kids, but we're not making any excuses for that either. We have a body weight workout that our players are doing. Some guys have weights at their house, and we're connecting with players like Zoom and other social media networks that we can get and at least talk to our kids and connect and try to keep our relationships going. Because this is a tough time for kids.
Coach, the first week of the season, you are going to welcome the Kenmore West Blue Devils down to Jamestown, but then it's 2 road games back-to-back at Grand Island, at McKinley, before you come home to face Hamburg in week 4. Traveling's nothing to Jamestown. You guys have become accustomed to it. It's, driving from Jamestown up to a game in Lockport and Argo Falls is nothing for you guys. So the travel really isn't that big of a deal. You've been through it, and I'm sure your players are well prepared for the hikes they have to take to come and play these other teams in A.
Yeah, our players really don't know any different. When we get on the bus, they put their headphones on. Our booster club, they buy each player a meal for every week on the road. So we usually have like a wrap and some fruit and some Gatorade that we try to eat right away. And then some of the kids doze off. We have our buses are usually quiet on the way up, and hopefully they're loud and energetic on the way back after a win. But travel's never been something that we can't control. That we like travel. It makes it a family atmosphere for our players. That we're all kind of up in Erie County, which isn't familiar to most of. It's a fun opportunity, and the bus rides home after a big win are some of the more memorable events that we have throughout the season. So it's just a great opportunity.
Who are some of the seniors you're going to be leaning on this year, and then a couple of the more returning players that should have big impacts for the Red Raiders coming up in 2020?
We have a great senior class coming back. We're returning guys out of 22 of our starters. So we feel really good about the group that we have. But again, nothing's going to be given to us. And I think we'll have a target on our back. Our key returners would be it's going to be Savon Vincent, Damari Jones, Elijah Rojas, Cameron Melendez, Takai Branch. Those are some guys to name a few. And then we also have some underclassmen that are going to return for another year. Trey Drake will be a sophomore at quarterback. Jalen Pichera will be a junior at running back and linebacker. And we actually started 3 sophomores on our offensive line last year. So we had some growing pains with those guys, but they all grew. And all those guys are, our whole offensive line besides one gentleman, Ben Schrader, he's graduating, but the other 4 guys are back, and our JV team was very competitive and very well coached. So we feel like we have a good team, have good talent, and our job as coaches is to put them in a position to be successful and not overcomplicate things. So that's the art and the science to coaching, and that's the part we look forward to.
Well, Coach, I really appreciate your time. Actually, before I hang up with you here, just what have you been doing the last couple of days, last week or so, to kind of keep yourself, out of boredom? I mean, you've been watching a lot of film from last year. What have you been doing with yourself to kind of keep yourself motivated and, occupied, I guess?
Well, I worked all last week. I'm an assistant principal at the high school, so we had some work to do. We had to coordinate getting some our food service, getting meals out to families, and also we were loaning out computer devices and iPads to our students so they can work from home. So that was we had pretty much all week of working and tried to coordinate with teachers and getting work to kids. Obviously, this is unprecedented, so this is something that we are all working on together. But our team at Jamestown Public Schools team did a great job, and our students have opportunities to learn at home. And our teachers have been doing a nice job getting work to them. But outside of that, one of my goals in the off season is to watch every play from 2019. So I think I'm almost done with our 7th game out of 9. So we're trying to watch every game and take notes and try to analyze what we did well and what we need to do better. And there's also some books that I'm reading in the off season, just trying to stay well-rounded and stay hungry and just make sure that I have a growth mindset. Also, we went to one clinic in Pittsburgh, and we were going to go to a couple more, but those have been canceled. So we've had a couple of coaching staff meetings using an app called Zoom, which is video conferencing, just trying to connect and to communicate with our coaching staff. So we're staying busy. We're making no excuses for this, and everybody's in the same boat. So we're just trying to do the best we can given the situation, and that's really what we do on the field as well. We play the hand we're dealt, control the things we can control, and I think those are good lessons for kids because this will be a time that kids will remember. These are teachable moments, and the way that we react as coaches, I think, will be influential in how our players and our student athletes react. So these are important moments for us as leaders.
Well, Coach, I appreciate your time again. Thank you very much. We do wish you the best of luck this season, and maybe we'll see you at a 7-on-7 in the not-too-distant future.
I hope so, yeah. Anything you guys need from us, let us know. Thanks for all the coverage and thanks for all your...
Will do for sure, Coach. We were losing him a little bit at the end there, but we'll have that full audio in demand as well, so you can listen to it anytime. As we continue on with the Section 6 High School Football Preview Show for Season 2020, it's the schedule release party. Frank Wolf, WNY Athletics, will be back in a few moments with more of our schedule.
We didn't get here by accident. It starts with a plan to protect your future, to invest in your future. It started with Scroy Financial. Plan, protect, invest. Scroy Financial.
We needed a plan to protect what matters most. By investing in our future, that all started with Scroy Financial. Plan, protect, invest. Scroy Financial.
Welcome back to the Section 6 High School Football Release Parties for the schedule of 2020. Frank Wolf of WNY Athletics. I'm your host tonight, and joining me now is the quarterback from Lancaster, Jason Manziel. Mr. 1,900 yards passing, 24 touchdowns in 2019, led the Legends once again to a Section 6 championship last fall. Jason, how are you tonight?
Good, good. I mean, doing the best I can in this tough time, but trying to stay active and yeah, doing fine.
Jason, not only were you getting it done on the field, but on the hard court too. You got another Section 6 title this past winter. I know the season isn't going to end exactly the way everyone wanted it to. You're not going to get a chance to win a state title for reasons that are just beyond anyone's control right now, but 2 Section 6 titles in the same year, that's pretty incredible.
Yeah, we had a special group of guys for football and basketball. We came together at the right time, and I mean, I don't think anybody really saw us winning a section for basketball. So to get that done, I mean, like you said, can't really control what's happening now, but I mean, first time in 61 years for Lancaster basketball, so that was big for us. And then for football, I mean, we got the target on our back, and to get it done again is pretty cool.
So, Jason, the division's changed a little bit, at least for AA. You lost Jamestown, which I don't know if you're too excited about that or not, but Jamestown was really one of those teams that was up and coming. And you are gaining, let's see, Will North is back. Will North is back in the division this year. So just want to get your thoughts on maybe losing Jamestown and gaining Will North once again. Oh, you also lost Lockport. Lockport's gone.
Yep. I knew Jamestown was definitely going to be good coming up. I'm never scared of a team. We're never scared of a team, I should say. So I'm not disappointed. I'm not excited. It's just whoever's on the schedule we're going to play. But, yeah, Jamestown was definitely a game we could have looked forward to, kind of like a Orchard Park or Bennett game. But you know what? Will North coming up, I think they're going to be pretty good. I mean, I don't know too much about them. But yeah, whoever we play, we just got to play our best.
Talking with Jason Manzel, the quarterback from the Lancaster Legends, who threw for 1,900 yards just last year and 24 touchdowns, leading his team to the Section 6 championship. Jason, what are you doing right now to kind of get yourself ready for the fall season? Even though you can't really have any kind of organized practices, you can't get to the workout room, you can't go to any gym whatsoever. What is Jason Manzel doing to help himself get prepared for the fall season, and how are you communicating with your teammates, knowing that you can't get out there and break a sweat together?
Yeah, it's definitely a hard time right now. I know before this really got out of control, we all went to Depew, played some just little touch football, just trying to get out, make our relationship stronger. Our football and I don't know what's going to happen with the spring sports, but with baseball, they sent me a workout schedule and football. So I'm kind of merging those in together and doing a workout every single day. And then I know guys on our team, some people got weights in their basement, so they're doing workouts on their own. Everybody's putting their work in on their own. But yeah, I'm going up to Westwood at turf sometimes, just throwing the ball around a little bit as much as possible.
Yeah, and again, I hate to cut right into the football season, so to speak, and just pass right up with baseball. I mean, that baseball team, they were destined for some pretty big things this spring.
Yeah, so. Yeah, we were definitely going to be good. I'm hoping we still get a chance at that, but, I mean, like you said, we can't control it, so just got to hope and pray that we get a season in, but just got to see what happens.
You're going to open up the season against Frontier on their brand new field. Frontier really hasn't been a team that's been able to lock horns with Lancaster especially the last few seasons since you've been wearing the red, black, and white there. But they're a team that's starting to come around. They made some improvements in the end of the year. They were starting to get a little bit better, and you're going to be walking into a brand new field complex there this September. I'm sure you're excited about that. And what do you know about Frontier from last season's past?
They haven't been in our league a while, but I just remember my 8th grade year we played them, and they actually got the best of us on our home field. I mean, I know it's modified, but they definitely have some players. I mean, I played with them throughout Little League and stuff like that, so I think they got a good running back, Carter. I don't know exactly, but just throwing names out there. And yeah, they definitely got some players coming up, and I was talking to Rupp about it. That's definitely going to be a tough game on our schedule, so we got to take them very seriously and get prepared for them. Well,
Jason, I appreciate you coming on with us this afternoon and just spending a little bit of your time with us. I know it's a busy schedule for everybody and kind of hectic times, but hopefully you're going to keep your head high there and keep reaching for the stars. And who knows, maybe they get something going with the spring and you can get another Section 6 championship. I don't know how many athletes can say they've won 2 Section 6 championships in the same year, but you have a chance to do it with 3 here, but you still got your entire senior season ahead of you. So best of luck to you, however things shake out for the spring, and we'll be looking for you at the maybe that Lancaster 7-on-7 tournament.
Yep, sounds good. Thanks for having me.
Anytime. That was Jason Menzel, the quarterback from the Lancaster Legends, and again last year had quite the season, almost 2,000 yards through the air and 24 touchdowns, only 4 picks. So that's just a great year from that young man, and we're going to see him again this fall. We're going to have another guest for you in just a little bit, but you are watching the high school sports football, Section 6 football 2020 schedule release party.
Hey, Josh Allen.
Hey, thanks for coming by.
Big fan.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm all about that teamwork.
Yeah, that's West Tur. Get the right people, working together, making connections. In fact, show me what you got. I'm going long.
Really?
Woo. Made me work for it, but anything worth doing.
Listen, I know you're good at this TV deal, but maybe you should try the football thing.
We're back here at the Section 6 high school football release party for the 2020 schedule. I am going to be joined now by my good friend Ty Harper from Kleinman Sherman, Panama, the 2-time state-winning champion for Class D. Mr. Harper, how are you today?
I'm well, thanks. Thank you very much for having me, Frank.
Oh, man, it goes without saying. You're one of our favorite guests, and you've obviously been very successful with the program down there, but you've been so successful, they're going to bump you up to Class C. How do you like them apples?
Oh man, that's all right. We're we're always excited about playing the best competition, that's available, and if that means we're going to Class C this year, then that's okay with us.
You're going to be joined by Fredonia, Cassadaga Valley Falconer, Southwestern, Chautauqua Lake, Westfield Brockton, and then Allegheny Limestone. Definitely some big teams, fast teams, and obviously a step up in competition for you. You're losing Garrett Hinsdale, you're losing Cam Barmore, and a host of others, guys who have really helped you build that program up and obviously got you the 2 state titles. But who do you got coming back outside from those 2 mega superstars, and what do you have to look forward to coming this September?
For sure. Losing the senior class is, that's tough because we've got a lot of good players. You mentioned a few of them there, Cam and Garrett. Obviously, they're going to be irreplaceable. Zavon Overton was a great player for us. Lucas Rader did a great job for us on the offensive line. Braden Cook was a nice player for us this past year. We're graduating some really good football players, but at the same time, we're actually bringing back a lot more this year than we did this past year. So, coming into this past season, a lot of people, asked, what are you going to do? You graduated 20 seniors, graduated the entire starting offensive line, and, we'll find a way. That's the fun part of coaching is finding guys to step in and fill those roles of the graduated seniors. And, we've certainly got our hands full this year, graduating Garrett, who started for 3 years for us at quarterback, and Cameron's obviously a really special player. But we're optimistic about what we have coming back. We've got some good players. Unlike last year, we're bringing back our entire starting offensive line. Swabik is back. John Swabik, who's an outstanding athlete for us. He's gained a lot of notoriety in track and field, but he's a pretty outstanding football player too. Connor Cooper is our leading rusher this past year. He's back as a senior. I think we're bringing back 7 or 8 of the starters on defense. Brendan Ramsey was an incredible player for us down the stretch last year. So we're excited. We're optimistic about what we've got coming back. Like you said, it'll be a very competitive league, but we're excited about that.
You're going to open up the season with Chautauqua Lake, Westfield, Brockton, a pretty tough team, very physical over the years. So you're going to start off with them in week 1. How are you going to start attacking this season with what's going on with the coronavirus affecting everything this late winter and, of course, through the spring season? But How are you getting the kids that are coming back prepared? How are you staying in touch with them, and what are you limited to? What are your limitations right now?
That's an outstanding question. Since I've been the head coach here, I've always been of the mindset that I can control what I can control, and I can't worry about anything else. And I think these are the perfect set of circumstances for that. At least, we've got a film available to all of our athletes of our opponents in the upcoming season, so they've got that. They have to take it upon themselves to get on Huddle and watch some film. We've told our guys that they need to be accountable and do as much as they can do, as hard as they can do it in their own homes. If that means doing, 500 push-ups, that means doing 500 push-ups. If it means going for a run on their own to practice, what's the buzzword right now? Social distancing. If they've got to, practice social distancing and go for a run on their own, great. If it means, doing some drills in their own backyard, and do that as much as they can, because at the end of the day, we're all up against this together. You know what I mean? Every program in Western New York, every program in the state really has got to deal with the circumstances that we're dealing with right now. So it's a matter of being accountable and, doing as much as you can do on your own and controlling your circumstances. I'm in a house right now with all my kids, and they're gathered around me. They're watching cartoons, and I'm watching film. So we're all trying to do our part right now to get ready.
Well, Coach, I know you're busy, and I didn't want to take up too much of your time tonight, but it's always a pleasure talking to one of the most successful coaches in Western New York, the two-time state champion down there at CSP. You're building yourself quite a program, but you're going to be playing some really tough big teams this year. It's going to be a lot tougher, obviously, and you know that. You're a Fredonia guy. You're going to be in the division with Fredonia this year.
Yeah, that's exciting. That's really exciting.
Do you know which week you match up with Fredonia, or when you actually play them?
Off the top of my head, I feel like it's towards the end of the year.
I should probably know this, considering I got the divisions right in front of me and all this, the entire schedule here.
I want to say it's at the tail end of the schedule, maybe week 6 or week 7.
It is a home game at Clymer, and it is going to be played on the 24th. So Saturday the 24th, it's your last game, regular season game. Yep. You're going to have them at Clymer on Saturday 10/24. So that's when you were going to meet. You never coached against Fredonia. That's your alma mater. So, and they're coming to your neck of the woods. So next year maybe you'll be coaching in the Orange Bowl. Did you ever think about that when you played there?
That'll be a fun one for sure. And like you said, the circumstances have never presented themselves there to coach against my hometown school. So that'll be fun. I know all those guys that coach over there. They're good guys, good staff. That'll be an interesting game, but at the same time, like you said, we don't play until October 24th, and right now I got to get ready for Chautauqua Lake, so I guess we'll cross that bridge when we come to it.
All right, well, it's we've caught you guys we've seen you guys in Syracuse a couple of times, 2-3 times now. We've seen you in Rochester. We've seen you pretty much all over. The only place we haven't really seen CSP is either at Clymer, at Sherman, or Panama. So this year, the WNY Athletics road crew better get some gas in the truck if we're going to be heading down there to see you guys play at your own stomping grounds there. So we'll have to see. Where should we go, though, Coach? Should we go to Sherman, Clymer, or Panama? Where would you go if you were the road crew?
No doubt, man. You got to get down and see us play at home. They're all great venues. I couldn't pick just one.
Okay.
Any of them would be great places to visit, and I think it would be an experience for you guys, especially coming from Buffalo and seeing games primarily up there. I think anytime you get a chance to take a trip to the Southern Tier, it would be worth your time.
Yeah, we've seen you everywhere except for home, so we'll have to change that this year. But you know what?
That, for sure.
You've won 2 state championships without us coming down there, so you may not want us. So
no, we'd love to have you.
All right. Well, Coach, it's always a pleasure catching up with you. Best of luck to you guys this year, and we'll be seeing you soon, I hope.
The pleasure's mine. Appreciate you, Frank. Go Wolfpack.
Yes, sir. That is Coach Ty Harper of the Kleinman Sherman Panama, the head coach there. He's won 2 Class D championships the past 2 years, so they're going to get a bump up to Class C. Things get a lot harder for the Wolfpack. We'll see how they respond this fall when high school football continues. Stick around for the rest of the schedule of the Section 6 2020 schedule coming up right now.
Why do you exercise? To look better? To feel better? To drop a few pounds? To train for an event? To defy age? Or to keep your ability to say yes to the things you love to do? Whatever motivates you, G&G Fitness Equipment is here to get you there. Treadmills, ellipticals, rowers, bikes, home gyms, and accessories. We'll pair you with the right equipment, teach you how to use it, and be there every step of your fitness journey. G&G Fitness. Your goal is our goal.
Welcome back to the Section 6 High School Football Release Party. This is Frank Wolf of WNY Athletics, and I'm now joined by the head coach from the Niagara Falls Wolverines, Coach Donald Bass. Coach Bass, how are you tonight?
Very well, thank you.
Coach, it's a pleasure to have you on the show. I don't get to talk to you too often, so I'm glad to have the opportunity to talk to you tonight at least. But the schedule's been released, and obviously Niagara Falls, one of the powerhouses from Class AA, is looking back to getting back to work when they allow us to. How difficult has it been to kind of keep things in perspective and where we are now as a community and as a country with everything that's going on, how that is kind of affecting how you are getting your guys ready for the 2020 season?
Well, it's resulted in doing a lot of texting and video chatting and speaking to them as a group, but telling them individually some of the things I want them to work on. I was speaking to my quarterback earlier, and unfortunately, he's somebody that his parents have bought him some workout equipment, and so he's been in his basement getting stronger and leaner, and so that's been the goal, is trying to reach the players individually through text or video chatting and give them kind of direction, find out where they are.
You know, social media is one of those great things that we have. We can kind of see players and teams of that nature, you know, doing their thing to get ready for the season, and good job, for a great tool for us to do some recruiting for ourselves here. And I noticed there are a couple of kids, at least one that's been working pretty hard that should be coming back into the program. He was at Canisius last year, but Antoine Gandy, pretty impressive athletic specimen there. He'll be joining your team this year, and you got your quarterback coming back, so you got a nucleus there, it seems.
Yeah. Antoine coming back and joining the Wolverines this year is going to be a great help. He's a tremendous worker. Is one of the things that I noticed about him. You will not outwork him, and so that's made him a natural-born leader, with these kids. So he's had these kids prior to all this, out in the field and working on different routes, and so I have my quarterback out there working with him and just kind of giving them the going on basis of what our offense is, so they can work on their timing and spacing and formation. So he's got a head start on all that stuff. So, and because he's so willing to work so hard, he's been truly an asset to us. And
that's got to be rubbing off on some of the other guys that were there last year, I'm sure, and new kids coming into the program.
Absolutely.
You guys are going to start your season this year, obviously hitting the ground running. Just talk about the landscape of AA. I know Jamestown's gone. Lockport's gone too. That was a rival for Niagara Falls for many years. So just talk about maybe losing a little bit of that rivalry with Lockport.
Yeah, that's where we thought we were headed with. They went back to the league schedule, and we would have those rivalries with Wheatfield and Lockport and North Carolina on the back end. But that's staying with the Federation and it's kind of, and losing like the Jamestowns and the Lockports. But then we get Will North, so I mean it's not like we lose a Jamestown and get somebody weak. They just reload and keep coming. So.
You could say that again, Coach. They certainly do that. But I wanted to wish you the best of luck this season. I really appreciate you taking just a few minutes out of your night to talk with us. I want to wish you the best of luck. Hope you guys stay healthy, and I'm looking forward to watching you guys play this year, and of course hearing that great band you have there at Niagara Falls High School.
Well, thank you. We were prior to this. We were very excited about some of the steps we were taking, and so hopefully, once this is over, we can get back on and get as a group and start working on everything we can work on, so we can, as like any team sport, the more you're together, the better you are, and so that's where we're headed. So this is a little setback, but hopefully we can,
You guys were going to open up with South Park, a Class A school that had a lot of success last year. So you got a pretty big test week one right out of the gate.
Yeah, they don't. These schedule makers never catch us any slack anyway, so it's not surprising. It's either going to be South Park or the UV Bulls. So we'll take South Park.
Well, Coach Bass, always a pleasure talking to you. I wish you the best of luck this season. We'll see you soon.
All right, thank you. Take care, man.
WNYathletics.com is the premier high school sports website in Western New York, providing the best sports coverage of Section 6 and Monsignor Martin leagues. Check out our page for daily game recaps and late-breaking sports news. Our online scoreboards are updated in real time. Never miss a goal or touchdown. Visit WNYathletics.com today or follow us on Twitter, like us on Facebook, and subscribe to our YouTube.